All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to another episode of the HHC podcast. I am your host, Jacob Moreno, and I'm here with my brothers, Juan and Josh. How are you guys doing today?
Doing all
All
right.
right, man. All right.
That's good, man. That's good. Uh, guys, we've had an eventful week. We come on here to us brothers come on here to talk Spurs basketball on the weekly. Um, We come to y'all on all platforms of Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Um, you can catch us live during our times at 10 a.m. And if you can't watch us during our live times, well, then you can catch the VODs on all four platforms shortly thereafter. Make sure that you do be on the lookout for the clips again. I was able to get a computer, as you can tell. Looks nice, looks crisp. I think my face cam has probably been the best out of everybody's. So I get to take
I wish it wasn't.
that flex.
Yeah. Yeah. Turn it back off.
Oh man. But be on the lookout for the clips again because now that I have my computer back, I will be working on that coming soon. So, uh, guys, we've had a pretty interesting week of basketball. Wasn't a lot of winning to be done, but there were certainly things that could have gone better, but things that as a young team you have to live with, right? But before we do get into the specifics of the games, I think we have to get ready for what is every week, and that is Jake's weekly trivia challenge. Real quick, morning, Chris. Chris couldn't be on here this morning. He's got some work that he's doing, but obviously he's tuning in. Still being here with the brothers, right? But on to the weekly challenge, right? Every week I'll be bringing up some questions. For the most part, they will be current Spurs questions, but I'll try to sprinkle in a historic question here and there. Um, this week we have another set of three questions, and we're gonna try to be a little bit different on how we're looking through things, right? So do this last week. Like I said, we went 1-3. We had we beat the Timberwolves, but we lost against the Bulls, the Nuggets, and the Raptors. Not the Bulls. Sorry. Who did we lose to? We lost to the Raptors, the Nuggets,
Clippers.
and the
And the
Clippers. There we
Clippers.
go. I don't know. I'm thinking 2 weeks ago, right? Even though we beat the Bulls. um, and when you have three losses in a row, more than likely the stats aren't going to be the most outstanding, the most outlandish, other than like from your 20-point per game scores on a night to night basis, right? I want you guys to start thinking about the role players here. Through the four games, a minimum of 2 games needed to be played in order to reach this requirement. But who had the highest plus minus through the 4 games? Once again, minimum has to be 2 games played. Now, the reason I do have minimum 2 games played is because our top choice here was Blake Wesley, and he had a plus minus of, if I could pull it up real quick, he had a plus minus of 8, but he only played the 1 game before he got injured. So that's why Blake Wesley is not getting
You
his
said role players, you mean like off the bench?
yes.
So none of the starters.
That none of the starters, but I'm lowering it down. Where the starters technically could be added to the list, but it still doesn't change who has the highest plus minus. I just wanted to narrow the list down for you guys, right? So out of our role players, who had the highest plus minus? Um, but yeah, as I was saying, Blake Wesley in his 8 minutes with us before he got injured, he was able to have that plus minus of 8 plus 8, which was really nice to see. But yeah,
Yeah,
Josh,
I was so excited for that guy, and then he
Yeah.
yeah,
broke his
no,
legs.
it was
You look,
unfortunate to
look,
see.
look how skinny his leg was. That boy barely got nicked, and his leg about snapped in half.
Yeah,
That
well,
was scary.
Hmm.
it's all
But
right. At least nothing crazy.
yeah. All right, I got my answer.
All right. Well, Josh, I'm gonna let you because you already have yours.
Oh.
Josh just says KVD is his role player, and Juan, I'll let you do yours. KVD. They both go with K debates. You know, that's an interesting one. We that's definitely an interesting pick. I will say this is through the 4 games, right? The last 4 games of the week. So not through the season. I think if it was through the season, that would be like a pretty good choice. Chris also says KBD in his answer. But you know, we lost 3 games, and when you get a lot of PT through those 3 games, you're not going to get a very high plus minus. KBD had a plus minus of negative 11.5 through the 4 games, through the last 4 games. I'll say this: nobody except for one player had a positive plus minus. Keldon Johnson was number 3 on this list with negative 2.7 on his plus minus.
Mm-hmm.
So the person with the highest plus minus this week was Zach Collins.
Yeah, I was gonna say Zach Collins too. That was my second guess.
Zach through this week has been he's been kind of balling. He's been putting up 8.7 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. He's got a steal and a block per game through the last 4. So he's definitely been stepping up as the backup center for the team. And I think I've been enjoying the fact
he's been shooting real good.
I've been enjoying the fact that you know, I'm not super complacent about Zach Collins being the backup center for this year.
Well, it's been good to see him, and it's like in a lot of sports, right? Like they always say that first year back from injury still is kind of like a recovery year, and then it's the year after where the guy starts getting back to form. And I guess we're starting to see that now, which is good because I was kind of losing faith in Zach Collins a little bit last year at the end of the year because it was hyped up like we're going to get some more front court depth that's going to help the team out. And it never really panned out. But this year you could tell like having like a force off the bench, like just like on pick and rolls, like dumping it down to him and him taking advantage and scoring in the post. Like I wasn't expecting to have that this year, and it's been really nice to see.
It has definitely. Zach's been doing a lot for us coming off the bench. So, but we you know, we have been like I said, going through this like ups, super high ups and super low downs. But if there's one thing that I feel like has been pretty consistent overall, it's been Zach Collins. It's been Zach Collins. So that's it's good to see. On to our next question. You know, our guys, I would say, probably haven't been playing the best defense in the world. But if there's one thing that you can do while not playing the best defense is you can still get in them lanes, get some steals, right? Through the entire season, I want you guys to guess how many steals Trey Jones has gotten, as he's the leading steals leader. Totals. This is totals, right? So through our games, how many steals do you think Trey Jones has gotten? For a frame of reference, let me see if I can pull up the totals real quick. Let's see. Our number 2 steals is Jakob, tied with Keldon Johnson, and both of them have 9 steals. So Trey Jones is leading the list, but Jakob and Keldon both have 9 steals on the season.
What is our record?
What is our record? 5-5. So, like I said, Jakob has 9. Keldon Johnson has 9. Jeremy's actually right there with 7. I think if Devin plays the other couple games, he might get a little bit up there. But right now he's at 6. And then I think the cool thing to see is that everybody on this team, including our 2-way players, have all recorded a steal on the year so far.
Well,
all right.
You can definitely tell we missed DeJounte in his 5 steal per game. You know, when he would just give us easy buckets. But I got my answer. I'm ready. It's pretty similar to what Chris guessed in the comments.
Juan, go ahead.
I went 12.
So he goes with 12. Josh, what do you use your answer?
14.
Josh goes with 14. And Chris goes with 13. So there you go. 12, 13, 14. Well, guys, that's a pretty good guess. All of y'all are really close.
We all got it right.
Chris is on the dot with 13 steals. It's definitely crazy. I didn't think I were gonna, when you give such a broad type of question like that, there's a good chance that somebody could be way off. But the fact that y'all went 12, 13, 14 right there, it shows that you're watching the games, right? Because you're kind of seeing it a couple of times. You're thinking about it,
I kind of went with he averages a steal a game, and he might have got an extra one or two here or there.
That's why I asked. That's why I asked.
10 games so far,
what is our?
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's a good frame of reference, honestly, because you're thinking Trey Jones is definitely he's definitely one of the higher defenders on our team, right? And he he plays those passing lanes pretty well. When your guard as short as him, you got to play different type of game, right? So,
I'd like to see Devin Vassell get up there like those Danny Green numbers of 100 steals, 100 blocks, or whatever. Like Danny used to average. Like he was like one of the only wing players to be 1 steal, 1 block per game.
Yeah, 1 and 1. I was gonna say yeah.
So I want to see Devin get up there in that aspect. That'll help our defense out, transition defense, stuff like that.
Definitely. Well,
anybody. I want to see anybody average that on our team.
No kidding, right? Juan, it was kind of crazy how you talked about Danny Green, because that transitions me into our next question. We all know and love that 2013-14 San Antonio Spurs championship run, and we know that was very much carried by the team ball aspect, a lot like how we're playing right now. And another thing that adds to it is the percentage of 3-pointers, right? How good we were shooting from 3 that year. Because we had four guys that were killer 3-point shooters. Those guys being Matt Bonner, Marco Bellinelli, Danny Green, and Patty Mills. Out of those 4 guys, who was the best 3-point shooter in their career? Who is the best 3-point shooter in their career between Matt Bonner, Marco Bellinelli, Danny Green, and Patty Mills? Those guys were definitely a wonderful sight to see whenever we would watch them. If I'm reading this correctly, we had 6 guys shoot above 40% from 3 that year. And it was those 4 people that I named: Austin Day and Boris Diaw. All shot 40% from 3 in that 2013-2014 year.
Wow.
So, it's definitely like, we might not have been shooting to the volume that like the modern age does, but to have 5 40% 3-point shooters, something that you don't see every day, something you don't see every year, right? Let's, and I guess I'll say Tim Duncan shot.
He also shot 40%.
Tim Duncan shot 0.1 3-pointers a game, so he definitely attempted a couple of them at least, right? But all right, I assume Chris says Maddie. Is that supposed to be Matt Bonner, Chris? Is that what you're the Red Rocket, right?
The Red Rocket.
I at first I was like, Maddie, who's Maddie? Talking about Patty? But no, I got you now. The Rocket, right?
Yeah, you're
Chris goes with Matt Bonner.
Oh,
Joshy goes with the Mamba. Matt Bonner, the Red Mamba.
I was also
good guess.
I was deciding between Matt Bonner, and I hope I spelled Marco's last name right, but I ended up going with Marco.
Marco Bellinelli.
Bellinelli.
It might be Belly.
So, the worst 3-point shooter for their career
is Marco
with 38%.
Probably Patty.
Was Marco Bellinelli.
Oh, okay.
Patty had 39%. Danny had 40%. And our leading 3-point shooter was Matthew Bonner, the Red Rocket, the Red Mamba.
Yeah.
That guy was a killer from 3. Now, for a bonus point,
At what?
at 41%. So
Oh,
they were
41.
all 38, 39, 40, 41. And that was in their careers. That was on their careers, right? Now, I already said it. They were all 40% 3-point shooters that year. Who was the best 3-point shooter that year for 13-14?
Patty.
Okay.
Patty.
I'm yelling it out.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm gonna try to give Chris just a second to see if he can type his comment in.
That was a golden year for Patty. I remember. I feel like it was.
That was a pretty good year for Patty Mills.
He
for
shot
Patty
like
Thrills.
98% from the 3-point line that year.
Well, sorry, Chris. Since you're not live, I'm not going to give you any more time to type your comment in. But it was. Oh, there it is.
He said Patty.
There he goes. He goes Patty. All right. Well, number 4, Danny Green, 41.5. So technically 42, right?
Wow.
Number 3, Patty Mills, 42.5. So technically 43. But 42.5, right? Well, I'm gonna keep it at 42.5 because then it's Matt Bonner at 42.9, and then Marco Bellinelli at 43 on the dot. So
man, we had some sharp shooters.
We had some sharp shooters back in the 2013-2014 championship year, and all those guys were crazy. But Juan,
it's crazy how everybody can shoot when you have a top 5 player of all time. Everybody has to think about down low.
No kidding. And then you're just running the ball all the entire time. You're just
and Tony Parker that's shooting 60% from the paint.
Yeah.
No kidding, man. Tony shot 50% from the field at that year. So that was we had a lot of good things going for us back in that championship year, right? But that was it for Jakob's weekly trivia challenge. Like I said, we'll do that every week. We will be bringing some current Spurs trivia or current Spurs stats. We'll be bringing in some historical Spurs stats. I saw there was a video by Jimmy High Roller on YouTube that I saw not too long ago, talking about it was like hot takes video, and it was one of the hot takes was just talking about Karl Anthony Towns, saying that he was the greatest big man shooter of all time. He was just saying that's a fact, and they were looking at stats, and while he wasn't the highest volume 3-point shooter, Matt Bonner cleared everybody when it came to his 3-point percentage. So just wanted to shout out Matt right there. Just wanted to say that he's one of the best. He's one of the best, and we had a lot. Shout out Wanda. Saying love, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Grandma.
Grandma Wanda. But so we had, like I said, we had a lot of comparisons from this year into that year, just because we moved the ball a lot more. We're not really running it through one person too much. We're not running a lot of ISO ball. And we're kind of giving a lot of touches to the paint now that I think about it, because Jakob and Zach are both getting some pretty good touches in the paint. So we are pretty similar to the 13-14 roster, but clearly not to the same level yet, as we don't have 40% 3-point shooters on our team.
Right.
But if there's one thing that Josh brought it up, saying that we had Tony Parker, shooting from the paint really well, and you need to have a good point guard in order to lead that team to the promised land, right? So you get guys like Tony Parker, but then you also have guys off the bench like Corey Joseph, like Patty Mills, guys that just understand the offense, that can run sets for you. And it's definitely something that, due to the circumstances of what's been happening over the last couple of weeks, we don't have a backup point guard, right? We don't have a backup point guard, and I think it's really been showing. We've been having to bring up the ball with Josh Richardson, and guys, I mean, I just want to hear your takes, your thoughts on just like what have you been seeing with how the bench unit's been doing without having a backup point guard, and if you guys have any way to like kind of clear it or fix it, is there a quick fix in order to get this team back on track in terms of our bench? Juan, what are you thinking right now, man?
I think the Spurs are going to stay conservative and just wait it out until Blake Wesley gets healthy. As far as I don't think there is a quick fix, like picking up anybody or making a trade right now. So it's unfortunate the circumstance we've had as far as that point guard position has gone, and not to harp too much on all the negative stories that have been going on, but it just is crazy that we had at one point DeJounte Murray, Derek White, Patty, even like DeMar, and we had like a plethora of all these ball handlers, and everybody could handle the ball, and it was almost a problem. It pretty much was a problem because none of the guys could shoot. DeJounte couldn't shoot, DeMar couldn't shoot, Derek White couldn't shoot, but they all needed the ball in their hands to be effective. And now we've kind of gone in the opposite direction where now we have a bunch of people who can do a bunch of stuff off the ball, but we really need that guy with the ball in his hands. Which, I was the one who said maybe we should have seen what DeJounte looked like with this team as they all start to grow up and get better. But, we'll see what happens from here.
He just hit a shot last night, send the game to overtime, had 36 the other night.
Yeah. So, but as far as like a quick fix, I don't see a quick fix. I think you just kind of wait it out and get Blake Wesley back. I think I said it last week, I think, if not a couple weeks ago on the pod, that I think the tanking is through these injuries. You know what I mean? I think we're going to be pretty conservative and just kind of ride with who we got. It doesn't matter who's out for a little bruise or so.
Yeah. Jake tried to tell me that Devin was injured last night, and that fool was not injured.
I am just saying
he's on a minute restriction. Get out of here.
The Spurs say that he's on a minute restriction.
I don't want to hear it.
The IR report says that he was hurt. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm gonna say. So
these boys been having the flu for a couple weeks now, right?
I know. Yeah.
I agree with Juan though. I think that there is like a little bit of what was the LeBron tweet? Something fishy is going on, and it's like all those emojis and stuff like that. So that's might be what the Spurs are cooking up in there, but it is what it is, right? Sometimes you're in with your 20-point per game scores, and sometimes we don't really we don't got it, right? Chris says agreed. We seem content with playing our extra big man in the absence of our backup point guard, and yeah, I mean that's true. We're seeing Gorgie get some run. We're getting a little bit more Isaiah Roby. He's kind of been out a little bit, so not too much Isaiah Roby minutes, but still trying to come here and there. It's definitely something that's like, yeah, I said, I'll kind of like start just recapping the week a little bit. You don't have a point guard, and you're trying to just like run with who you got. And Josh Richardson's been who we have so far, and it hasn't looked good. I don't think it's looked good. The Raptors.
I really don't like that guy not that I don't like Josh Richardson, but not as the point guard, not as our point guard.
Not as a point guard, right? Like he doesn't see the court like how a regular point guard does, and that's not his fault. He's never been asked to be a point guard. He's been just a solid complementary piece to the point guard ever since he's come out of the draft. So, like
I used to like when Lonnie had the ball in his hands last year as a point guard, like as a not a point guard, but every now and then he will bring the ball up, and
just
I used
like
to
a
like
combo
that.
guard.
Yeah, so I'll trade Doug for that fool right now.
Well, it's definitely just something that we're seeing right now that we don't have that point guard, and to y'all, there really isn't the quick fix. For me, I think there is somebody on the board at least that I think I would be interested in trying to get.
I just told you who it was.
Josh says he wants Lonnie Walker. For me, I'm going to go to the other controversial team on the Eastern Conference, and that's the Brooklyn Nets. If we traded the likes of Doug, Jay Rich, we'd have to get draft capital back if we're trading Jakob in this as well. To get a guy like Ben Simmons, like how would y'all feel about the team if we did fill in the point guard deficiencies at that point? If we did send away, obviously we're sending away depth. That's it's not going to make us like a better team overall, but it's to kind of more work towards the long term, right? You're trading some guys on the bet that you can get this player that used to be an all-star back into all-star shape, and just what do y'all think about trying to get a guy like Ben Simmons?
I think, to me, so if we're gonna fit him in our starting lineup, right? If you're just gonna, you said for the future, so going forward, we're gonna have. I think that just puts Sohan in a weird spot because I still would play Ben at the 4, and we just drafted a 4, so I wouldn't. Yeah. I would not, like last year. Maybe I would have done it 100% if we could have got rid of those 3 guys and kept DeJounte and Ben on the same team. But this year, I think it's just going to be too. I don't think you go get a potential all-star, all-NBA, because I still think he's a 4. I've always thought he was a 4, a point forward. Like, and we just drafted him. Then we just wasted. We did the same thing. We have DeJounte and Primo, like, I don't know. Maybe not this year.
Well, see, the only way that like you could see that lineup working, which you could do it this year and play Ben and Jeremy together, because I don't think the goal is to win.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe this year, yeah.
So it's like you could do that this year. The only way like you could really see how the full potential of a lineup like that is if Jeremy can get a 3-point shot, like get that shot down. Now he's only a rookie. There's no guarantee he'll get better at shooting. We've seen Ben Simmons. We've seen players like in the NBA, like you go, oh man, if they could just get that shot down, and they never do. And so like Jeremy would have to be able to space the floor in order to like insert Ben at that point guard position. But I'm not like opposed to the idea. I don't know if I would want to give up Jakob for it. I think Brooklyn's like in a pretty desperate situation as is. Like,
hey, what if we get a guy? They still got Claxton on that roster, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll take Claxton back. I'll take Ben and Claxton for all 3 of them fools, and then they could keep their draft pick.
Victoria had brought up. She said that she wants Patty Mills back in the deal, no matter what. And I said, I don't know how. I mean, Patty would give us a backup point guard, like somebody to give the ball to.
And Patty would give us the spacing that we could use right there at that point, right?
Even he didn't even have to be great, honestly. Just having him on the court and then the locker room would help stabilize a lot of things as well. But that's like, honestly, when she brought that up, that was the only thing that kind of made me go, all right, maybe you could try to look into this Ben Simmons deal. Because if you bring back Patty, get him away from those, like those people who are in Brooklyn that are just destroying their own organization.
Yeah, I know.
So get Patty out of that dysfunctional organization, bring him back here. Let's see. I as far as like the basketball since this year, I don't know. Ben Simmons has looked a little rough. I've watched a couple of highlights and I've watched a couple of games. I've seen him. I know he's out again, like with injury. I don't know what's going on with that guy, but like I've seen him pick up the ball like off a steal and have the defender on his back, like on a fast break layup or dunk, and just kind of pull back and stop the possession. And it's just like, oh boy, like something's up with his mental or something where he's not comfortable, or you know what I'm saying? So like I would, a couple years ago, Ben Simmons, I feel like you could plug him into our motion offense. He could like get things going, and if he falls into that dunker spot and the ball's still moving, you dump it off to him, he'll dunk the ball easy. But I don't know. Chris brought up the question: who would you move off the starting lineup? I would move Trey off the starting lineup. I said it earlier this year. Obviously, like things changed. I wanted Trey to be our backup point guard eventually. Now it's like there's no way he's gonna move. But I feel like you make this Ben Simmons move, you could move Trey down and
you could bring him back down. Exactly.
And he'll be able to come off the bench and stabilize all those for those younger guys and for Josh and Dougie, get them better looks as well. And
while shooting a good clip from 3 too. At the moment at least, he's still
that's what I was gonna say. If he's gonna shoot, I would leave him there. I would move Jeremy to the bench.
And that's where I can kind of.
He hasn't been scared this year, and if he's gonna space the floor just like the other guys, then I would just move Trey.
Yeah,
because he has not looked bad shooting the ball this year at all.
It's between, I think it is, right. Like, that Devin's a lock. That Keldon's a lock, and then at the moment, I guess Devin's not even on the starting lineup, right? But assuming that he does move back up to the starting lineup, right? And then if we're trading Jakob, that's like, you could get more spacing because Zach Collins is your starting center at that point, or Gorgie Deng's your starting center. Again, it's not a move to make you win right now. It's a move to just, what can we do to try to add to our team while getting off of the veterans that we have right now, right? And so if we keep if we're just trading Doug and just trading Josh Richardson, and we're only receiving Ben Simmons back, maybe we have to give like seconds for him at that point. I don't know. I don't really know how low Ben Simmons' value is. That it's lower, but you don't know like how low the Nets are willing to go to just get him off of their team. But in a dream scenario that you are able to get that for as minimal stuff as you can, I think you just keep experimenting. You don't stick with one lineup other than the fact that Ben Simmons, Keldon Johnson, and Devin Vassell are your starters. And then you work from there. The one thing that I'll say with Ben Simmons is you get him out of the spotlight. Everybody talks about how you go to San Antonio and you stop getting talked about. DeMar talked about it in an interview this last offseason, and that can be to the detriment of some people, but it could also be to the success of others. So I think you get Ben Simmons out of the spotlight. You get people to stop talking about him because he's not in Philly and he's not in Brooklyn anymore, and then eventually he's able to just have this nice, safer environment that we can build him up in, right? That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion on what we could do if we had a guy like Ben Simmons on our team. I think that we could get him back up to that all-star potential. We've seen this guy on the court. I feel like it's not potential, right? It's not potential because we've seen him on the court do it. You can talk about how there's potential for Keldon Johnson to get better. You can talk about how there's potential for Devin Vassell to get better, but we've seen Ben Simmons play at that level already. So it's just a matter of how can we get him back to that level.
I guess my input would be, we know we have no point guard off the bench. If you bring Ben, you can kind of start spacing it, like splitting your minutes, and maybe it would be the way like we used to do DeJounte and Derek, where like one would come off early and then leave the other one to run the second unit and then bring the other one back on to replace him. But like I would just want to have 2 point guards on the court just to get better looks for everybody. I wonder if not having a point guard off the bench is like this last week has hurt like Doug and Josh. They haven't been able to be on as much of a role. You know what I mean? So that's what I would want, to kind of get this team flowing a little bit more coherently. But I don't know. I agree with Jake. Like, I think he could get Ben Simmons to work. If anything, he should help add defense.
Pop will get it to work.
And it'll help our defense.
Exactly. You're becoming a better defense because you get a 6'10" guy that can play. They can defend all four. And again, we're talking, I guess, like in that sense, right? We're kind of talking about Ben as if he could be getting back to what the Philly shape could be, because at the moment, Ben Simmons isn't anything of what we're talking about. He's not playing good defense. He's not. He's facilitating fine enough, but he's not like looking for his own shot. So it's like things that are playing. To the detriment of his stats right now, to where you're not seeing him be a good defender, you're not seeing him score, and not even really getting assist just because things aren't working out for him right now. So Chris says that if he came here, mainstream media would try to put him as our number one option. They would talk about it as a demotion to defer to KJ/Devin. He does like the fit though.
I don't think anybody getting traded that's averaging 6 points a game is going to be looked at as the number one option.
Yeah, and he's a point guard first, so like he didn't have to be a scoring guy for our team.
No,
exactly.
If he averages 16 points a game, like for us, off of it just because of like taking like layups and fast break dunks or little dunker spot like layups and dunks, like that's okay. Like he's a point guard, and I know that's probably what everybody is like still upset, like he never developed past that, but I don't know. That's just the need for your guy to be throwing up 30 shots a game, and that that's whatever. He's a point guard.
Yeah.
He's a
San
defending
Antonio
point guard,
San Antonio doesn't need that right now. I feel like we
right?
have plenty of guys that are able to shoot off the dribble, but also like, dude, like we can create our own shots. Keldon Johnson, if you put Ben Simmons next to Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell, you're giving those guys more off ball opportunities, and then at the same time, like those guys can still create their own shot. Then it's just like it helps a lot more. Um, Chris says it's his name rather than his game. I tried to stack him next to KD and Kyrie as it is. But I mean, we have an actual system to it, like we're not gonna run because at the end of the day, the Brooklyn Nets are gonna start to just run Kyrie Irving isolation, Kevin Durant isolation. That's their style of play. That's how they would do their stuff. They just fired Steve Nash, so that they might start changing it up here soon. But as of right now, that's all their play was. It wasn't an actual like run and gun offense, something that works to Ben Simmons's like play style. We know that his best play style is if he's running, if he's in
Yeah.
transition, and that's also our best play style.
I would. His numbers for the year are 6 points a game, 6.5 rebounds a game, and 7.3 assists. That's his numbers for the year. And I know he's out right now with injuries, but I agree with you, Jake. That's a good point. If he comes here to be able to get out and running more and not have to have like that weird net offense of standing around watching
It
Kyrie.
takes you out. Yeah, it takes you
Yeah.
out. You see the people who play with James, like
Yeah, and you were talking about how like you saw that there was that one play where Ben Simmons like stops the fast break to give
Yeah.
like he's probably doing that because his mindset is, well, I got to stop it so that I can give it to Kyrie Irving, to give it to Kevin Durant, and that's like just what it's been like for him. That's just been his situation. He's not in a situation for himself to succeed. But what were you saying, Juan? You were gonna.
No, I was just saying like it is to be noted that he is not right like offensively right now. Like he's only averaging 6. I know it's like people were like clowning him big time on Twitter and stuff because like he would finish a game and they'd be like season high 7 points. Like they were dogging this guy. I think it is just to be noted that there is something up there. Hopefully, like you said, you bring him here to San Antonio and he kind of gets away from all that for a little bit and can get right and get a little bit more confidence. He's 26 years old. He's got plenty of time to still like figure it out before he's not super athletic and everything. But I don't know. I would like to fit as a long rangy defender on this team and a point guard on the free flowing offense that we already run. It just makes too much sense, honestly.
It does. It does. Imagine if we saw Jokic. Now I'm not saying like Jokic is like a one of a kind type of play, right? But we saw Jokic kind of like tear into us the other night, where like we're seeing him just like get the ball on the top of the key and he's just like diming it to these guys. We even saw Bones Highland with some crazy passes against us the other night. Real quick, just a shout out Bones Highland because that like, I mean, that guy was going off against us, but.
He was also high fiving fans while Devin Vassell was down the court getting buckets.
I knew you were gonna bring that up too. I don't know. I mean, that's their way of letting him grow.
that's
we do it
that.
differently,
Honestly,
right?
that's just them they're whipping our ass no matter what.
Yeah. So
I mean,
we
you're just
we're
like
see-
F those 2 points.
Yeah.
We're up by 20 anyways.
yeah. So
That's how them fools are playing against us, at least.
we saw.
Yep.
We saw Jokic like have like these crazy no look passes and all these like things like that. If we had a guy close to that level, I think Trey
If we
Jones is
had
a
a
good
Jokic,
passer. if we had a passer, it doesn't have to be the offensive skill set that Jokic has, but if we just had a passer that's close to that level, to where we've seen a guy like Ben Simmons make passes, on an elite level at least. And so it's like, yeah, you give us another person that just sets up the rest of our shooters. Again, you're losing two shooters. You're losing Josh Richardson, you're losing Doug McDermott, and you got to keep that in mind that you're not going to keep all that depth on your team, but you hope that a guy like Malachi Branham starts to come into his own when it comes to spot up shooting. You hope that Romeo Langford comes to his own in terms of shooting. And then again, when you're trading Josh Richardson and you're trading Doug McDermott, Josh Richardson's a good defender. Doug McDermott's not a good defender. Malachi Branham's a rookie, so he's probably not a good defender. But Romeo Langford is a good defender, you know? And it's like, bam, there you go. You're still setting up your defense to become better. And then hopefully that offense starts to come along. You know, they're not going to be your vets right away, but they can progress. They can progress through the year, you know? So that's just my opinions on how, like, you know, what we could do to try to change up the game. You know, Chris said Bones is a fun player to watch. That Denver game was certainly something to hold up, just because again there's it's a bad loss. You know, you lose bad, you lose by a lot, but there's still things that you can take away from it. I think I'll just say that I got to watch some pretty entertaining basketball from not just us, but from the other teams doing their stuff as well. So, but you know, with the team that we got right now, right? With the team that we got right now, we're doing something, like I said earlier, we're doing something different. We're not playing the way that we did the last couple years, where it was at the end of the day, DeMar's going to have the ball. At the end of the day, DeJounte Murray's going to have the ball. We are in our new age of Spurs play. Juan,
which is technically the old age, the beautiful game.
Which is, yeah, exactly. And Juan, I want you to kind of dive into this. This is something that you kind of brought up a little bit. I want you to start, you know, talking about the numbers. Give us what has like come up and what you've seen over the last couple of weeks.
Well, obviously we were like, after that first game of the year against the Hornets, we were kind of on fire. We were flying around. Everybody was hitting their shots. Everybody was knocking down threes. And it just like the offense was getting back up. At one point in the year, we were averaging like 35. We were getting like back-to-back games with like 35 assists. We were like 31 assists per game. And the team, the offense, the beautiful game mindset, like it was working, it was flowing. And I think what helped that for a lot of the role players was not really having a DeJounte or a DeMar or even a LaMarcus Aldridge on the court. Like, the team is able to just move and flow, and not one person just stands still. And I think it's just like to note that the defenders have to respect, like even in years past, like Devin Vassell was just a 31% from three guy. And Keldon before last year was like a poor 3-point shooter. Like, everybody was just able to clog the paint. And then our best players needed to operate in that mid-range to the paint area. And so just that, now that Devin and Keldon have the most focus, you would say, like from the defense, from other teams, like they have to respect their 3-point ability. And Devin's literally just catching like off the break threes and letting it fly. And I think at some point, like it just draws in a defender a step closer to that 3-point line, and it helps the motion and cutting to the basket. And then Devin and Keldon aren't afraid to pass the ball, and you know they're not ball hogs, so that helps. But I just wanted to bring up, like, in a way, like DeJounte and DeMar, obviously they're better players, especially at this point than Devin and Keldon are. But in a way, because their games, it kind of like limited what this team could do, if that makes any sense. And I've just noticed that, and we've seen like things like that. Even like last year when DeJounte was out for like a week, Trey stepped in and kept the offense flowing and moving, kind of similar to what it's like this year. Like, it's unfortunate, because I want to respect good basketball, good players, but like in this day and age of just 3-point shooting, all you have to do is just throw up threes, and you can make up for so much deficiencies in your game, in your team, in talent, by just letting it fly. So this year, I'm pretty sure we're 5-0, might be 6-0 when we outshoot our opponents from three. And it's just like letting it fly, and we're up. It's not like we're hitting 7 threes and they're hitting 5. Like, we're up there 15, 16 threes a game, and we're winning games. And this last week on our 3-game losing streak, we got outshot from 3. Like, these other, and the Denver and Toronto games were like compounded on top of that. But it just shows that, like, if we're not just on fire and completely outshooting these teams from 3, we don't look too good at all. And that's kind of what I want to bring up. Just those 2 points. Devin and Keldon kind of spreading the ball around and being able to spread the floor. And then I brought it up last week. We don't play defense. So when we're not on fire from 3, we're not going to win a lot of ball games. And that's just kind of where I see this team right now. And that's fine, but that's just the NBA. You can get away with a lot of things by just being a good 3-point shooting team.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I mean, like, I think like it kind of happened like as we won our championship the very next year, we're seeing the Golden State Warriors start to do the exact same thing, but to a higher volume of 3-point shooting, you know, and it's like because they didn't have Tim Duncan in their paint, they had Steph Curry out there on the 3, and so then they played to that strength, was that they had Steph Curry and Klay Thompson out there to shoot the ball rather than just letting Tim Duncan be in the paint and then be able to give it to our better 3-point shooters if they're open, right? And you know, you start to like think about how the game has like changed from just that one year from 14 to 15. You know, that was that transition year, and it's definitely something that like we finally are changing to that style. But just like you're saying, I mean, like, you know, you have a bad defense and then you're getting turnovers on top of it, and it just makes it even harder to try to come back in these ball games, you know. You know, I think that was like the biggest thing that I saw was that our defense just couldn't hold up to the likes of Toronto and the likes of Denver. And so then it makes it harder for our guys to be able to
and the Clippers. We were in that game and we could not get a stop. We could not get a stop for nothing.
Yeah. And I guess I'm just bringing up those 2 games just because we lost by a lot more, right? And so you know, you see that you don't have your defense running, and then it just makes it harder for your offense to start to form. You know.
So that Clippers game is the perfect example of like, oh, this team is flowing, and then it gets to crunch time, and it's like, oh God, like we need a DeMar, we need a DeJounte right now. Like we need a bucket. We need somebody who is good enough to just break down the defense and either get their own shot or find somebody else another shot. And
I felt like Keldon was doing a good job at getting his own shot, but he was just off. Like he just couldn't make a shot. Like he had good plays for others, good plays for himself, and then nobody could hit anything.
Yeah, and so like when nobody's hitting shots like that, it's just like, oh, what else does this team have?
And then Paul George goes on there and just like cooks our dudes like 1-on-1.
Yeah,
easy money.
Yep. And then obviously the other added thing was just the fact that your best shooter of the night, right, Devin Vassell, was on the minutes restriction, so he plays 4 minutes in the 4th quarter and then doesn't see the rest of the court, like the rest of the game.
They were tanking, that's for sure.
And so you know. You get just like what Juan is saying. You don't have a guy that creates your shot. Well, you put your guy that was creating his own shot in the game, at least in the one game instance. Devin Vassell's creating his shot for himself, right then and there, and then they take him out, right? And so that's, I mean, it's just a different direction of what we're going to. And so
you used to be able to dump it down to LaMarcus and just be like, all right, sweet, we got a bucket this possession. Like he had a great position. Like you used to give the ball to DeMar at the top of the key and just like let him go to work. And last year with DeJounte, and you were comfortable with those players doing stuff like that. And yet it still felt like if this team just moves the ball with a player like that, and then when it comes down to that time, then you can give it to him. But with those guys, you know, they all kind of just, they had their own ways of like on offense. And so that's just kind of my whole point is now we do need a guy again like that to get his own bucket, but to fit inside this free motion offense. And like Josh said, like Devin and Keldon, or Keldon for sure, like gets to his own spot. He gets the shot he wants, but I feel like we just need one more guy to do that. And even like a better guy, you know what I mean? Like somebody like at a higher level.
So Rolo MK has asked a question, right? If our biggest defects is defense, and how would it solve with the high draft pick next draft? Shout out Rolo MK for the question.
Well, that dude is 7 foot tall, you know, that guy out there.
Yeah, if you get Wemby.
If we get Wemby, we're gonna have a 7-footer to roam the paint. Assuming that if we could sign Jakob back, if we don't make a move with him, then we got 2 7-footers. We got a 7-footer that is a true unicorn, as they say these days, right? That he's out there making one-legged threes. I don't know if you saw the highlights this last week, but then that can also defend the paint. And 2 7-footers. And then I think if you get a guy like that, we have all the money in the world right now too. So I think he would draw in, hey, they got that kid down there in San Antonio. I'll take some of that money and go play with that guy. You know what I mean? Like you could go get people at that point if you have the number 1 draft pick. I know San Antonio is not a vacation destination. Nobody really wants to come play over here, but some of these guys might want to come get that ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not year 1 with Wemby, but he's still up there.
And then just the
Grant,
fact that
Grant could shoot the ball.
You're relying on your young players to continue to develop, and so you're relying on the fact that Devin Vassell, Trey Jones, Keldon Johnson, even Blake Wesley, Malachi Branham, like the rookies, Jeremy Sohan, you're relying on the fact that all of those 1, 2, 3 year guys are going to take the next step on defense and they're going to lock in,
Sohan's been good on defense.
Exactly, right. And so then you're expecting him to make another jump, right, to be able to lock down even more. There was possessions last game where we saw him guarding freaking Jamal Murray, and I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. Like I thought it was coming off the switches, but no, the very next play, it's Jeremy Sohan is guarding Jamal Murray. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but I was happy to see that we're putting him out there against the better the offensive players on their team. So.
I think Grant Williams would be a good pickup too, especially like if you don't keep like a guy like Isaiah Roby, if he just moves on after this year. Like Grant and Jeremy, like as your 4s, like splitting them. Those are like Grant's a 3-and-D guy. I think he's still shooting well from 3 this year. So
I was gonna say is if you could replace Doug McDermott for Grant Williams, like you're getting that defense.
I was just thinking about that. What do you think he's going to ask for? I don't want to overpay for that guy, but I would love to have him on the team.
I feel like if we're getting a guy like Grant Williams, it's going to be an overpay. Like, because why would he not want to just stay with the Celtics on a cheaper deal? Because they're
No. I'm not saying cheaper, but I mean, we could still give him more money than anybody, but I still don't want to go too crazy.
Well, because if you're getting a guy like Keldon $20 million, like is Grant Williams going to get? What is he going to get? Is he going to get close to 20, or is he going to be below that?
I would say you're gonna be more below that, right? But you're not going to be
15, right? The 15.
Yeah, like in the 13 going up type of deal. Right?
We got to pay Devin this summer as well. Like Devin's going to get paid and eat up a chunk of that, unless they're for real about tanking and they just trade him too.
Oh, please don't. No, I mean, yeah, like you got to start cracking down on what the cap situation is going to be like, and I think that you could get a guy like Grant Williams. I mean, if you move off of Doug, how much is Doug making right now? Isn't he making like?
He's our highest paid player, like at 13 this year,
right? So you get off of Doug, and then you can give that money plus a little bit more if Grant Williams, wants that much more, right? You can give the 13 that you're giving Doug to Grant Williams plus a little bit more, and you're still in the same cap situation that you were before.
And that's half of Jay Rich's money.
Yeah.
And how much is he? Like, Josh Richardson's getting paid good money too. So
yeah, moving off of Doug and Josh Richardson and just replacing them with the player
with Grant, right?
Yeah, that's a nice trade off. And then like as far as like
the guy like, go ahead.
I was gonna say as far as like the draft, I have no idea if any of those other college players are defensive or like anybody we would add in the draft would be defensive like right now. I have no idea. The only person I know about is Wemby, and I guess that Scoot Henderson guy, but he's in the G League, right?
Yeah, Scoot. Yeah.
So, yeah, and like I have no idea about the college.
I'll say this real quick, just because it's something that I just like kind of keep a track on. I think it's kind of clearly showing that these G League, going straight to the G League type of guys, are really like putting on a clinic in terms of the comparisons to a college player. Like you're seeing the only person that's above the G League player is a guy from like foreign, right? So a guy who's come up playing basketball for pretty much his entire life, right? And it's like, yeah, I just want to like kind of shout out the fact that we're not like there's a lot of different avenues to get into the draft, and we're starting to see like the G League and then being overseas be like the two top considered prospects now.
Mm-hmm.
Because in my opinion, right, like the G League theoretically would have more difficult like prospects, right? Like you're gonna have to play better in the G League than you are in college, right? And then you're already playing on an NBA styled game, because the G League doesn't change from the NBA stuff. It's all the same notion. So I think getting a guy from the G League would be kind of interesting if that kind of comes down to it. If I'm not mistaken, Jalen Green was from the G League Ignite.
Mm-hmm.
And he was the first person drafted, if I'm correct, right? He was the first person drafted from that system. So I think getting a guy like Scoot wouldn't be. It's definitely an interesting thing that could happen if we're at a number 2 pick. You know what I mean?
Well, hopefully that Scoot Henderson's a better defender than Jalen Green.
Yes. No, I agree. But Jalen Green's really like skinny. He's really tiny at the end of the day. He's a good scorer, but tiny dude.
You telling me it's another one of those guys who just chunk up every shot and then don't play defense?
I'm not going to talk about Jalen Green right now. I don't watch too much Rockets ball, so.
That's everybody, dude. That's everybody. That is today's NBA. That's why you can't put too much. Whenever you see a guy, oh dang, he's averaging 20. Everybody averages 20 these days. I feel like everybody just shoots threes, and everybody averages 20, and they're making
20.
it. They're making it, they're making a big deal of like the LeBron, that he's finna pass Kareem. I feel like one of these kids that are playing these days, they're gonna go way over that, like 40K points for their career, just because like Luka right now is
he's averaging
he's
like
on his way,
points.
Yeah, dude, like he's on his way. Like the NBA is just a scoring league right now, so
yeah, people are gonna be real upset when like all these kids like now everybody like playing nowadays are gonna start passing like Dirk,
the legends,
and like all these guys in points, and they're gonna do it quick too.
Yeah, because they just score. I mean, dude, Toronto just put up 150 points on us last week, and they didn't even look like. I mean, they were just hooping out there. These kids are just throwing balls up everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy talk.
It is.
But with that being said, I still would like a guy to average 20 points a game and throw up all kinds of threes on my team.
Yeah,
I agree. Real quick, Veronica, thank you. Good episode, guys. Thank you. Shout out.
Thanks, Ronnie.
But I guess before we start wrapping it up, Shams just tweeted out saying that Cam Johnson of the Phoenix Suns is going to undergo surgery on his torn meniscus. Obviously, that's not like a season ending, but I'm sure the Phoenix Suns could use another shooter if they want to give us a first round pick.
So who would you offer? Like Doug or Josh?
I'll give Doug. They don't like, what I mean? Like it's literally
just
for a pick.
That's all you want. You just want picks. You don't think? Yeah. Remember how we were like?
Well, they don't have that. They don't have that Jalen Smith guy anymore.
When we were talking about Shea, I mean, like a couple years ago, last year, the year before, we're like, look, he's averaging 20, whatever, and it's not contributing to winning basketball. That's all we talked about was, he's doing that. He got some numbers, but are they winning? Like, I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to have 100 draft picks and we got guys averaging 20 points, and then other people are going to be talking about our guys. Yeah, hey, look, Devin's averaging 20 points, but is it contributing to winning basketball? No, they're losing 100 to 150 to the damn Raptors. Like, I don't want to have all the I don't want more draft picks. I really don't. I'm tired of them already.
I want us to trade.
And that was the Thunder. That was the Thunder.
I want us to trade our next 10 draft picks for like and move up in the draft this year. Like if we don't get a top 3 pick, but
that's what I want to do last year. I just wanted Paolo but I feel like Brian, not to be negative because I know the Primos. I want to put it in the past, but if Brian Wright ends up getting fired out of this ordeal and he screwed us out of our future, just said peace, DeJounte, and then that fool gets fired the next year, I'm gonna be super kind of mad. because I think that he went out like whenever we drafted Primo, what did we say? Like, whoa, what the heck? Where did that guy come from? So I feel like Brian Wright was already not reaching because, the reports came out that other teams wanted Primo in the first round, but he kind of reached for him. So I feel like he would do some stuff. Like, it's kind of like that's his guy, right? He took him, so he might have brushed something under the rug for his guy. And then we ended up getting screwed out of both of, like, DeJounte and Primo now. So
yeah.
I'm kind of bummed out.
We don't want to dive in too much speculation, because that is speculation at the moment. We're waiting to see how things play out. Like Chris said last week, we as of right now,
in the lawyer's hands now. That's what Pop said, right?
It's in the lawyer's hands, and
I do stand with Pop's statement though. Is like this is an organization they've shown, like their history has shown, like their character and everything like that. So. Like,
but RC, I feel like that Pop and RC.
That's what I'm saying. That's
not
what I'm saying.
This fool.
People
so
are
just like, hey.
That's what I'm saying. People are trying to blame Pop and RC already.
Yeah,
and I'm standing with Pop and RC. If something comes out about them, like obviously, right? Like we need justice for the victim, no matter what.
No matter what.
So, but as far as like what Pop said, their character has led me to believe and trust into them until everything comes out. I trust that the Spurs are going to handle it the right way, and
yes,
and if they don't, then we'll condemn them for that. So
yeah, we as a collective right now agree that we stand with the Spurs right now. We have our trust in our organization, and that is pretty much just where we stand right now. We're waiting for things to play out, and we don't really want to give too much on speculation or anything like that, right?
All right.
But yeah, so we I mean, that's just like what the situation's looking like right now, right? That's just the situation. You don't have a point guard because of what's thrown down, and I mean, it leads to us having to change up our direction, because I think before the situation had come out, we looked in a pretty good spot. We had our 2-point guards. We didn't like Josh Richardson and Doug McDermott didn't have to do as much of what they're having to do this last week. Now, you know what I mean? And so for me, that's like I think to wrap it up, it's leading to a spot where like, well, then I think we should try to start selling at this point, like selling the guys that
already
we have
this early
in terms of like the vets, right? Because it's like, well, if you have to adapt to the situation, you can't just stay headstrong in who you have, So if we just lost one of the guys that was supposed to help us in this season, just as it is, like, then why should we try to keep pushing for victories when we've already lost depth in that sense?
I think that point will come later in the season very naturally. We haven't even really mentioned Malachi has been starting his last couple of games. He hasn't shown like he hasn't been like special or nothing, but just getting him those minutes, letting him get accustomed. And I know we lost Blake for a little bit. I think we get a little bit Roby back into the lineup like he was back, and you get Romeo Langford back, and you start to let those guys kind of gel. And
what was Romeo Langford out for?
I don't know. Tanking.
His toe was hurt.
That was it. It was just a toe.
I don't know. I don't know if he's for real hurt. I don't know what the deal was, but I did say that about that guy. It frustrated me with Derek. It frustrated me with like I can't like I guess we haven't had anybody else other than Derek. That's always hurt all the time. That's another reason why I said that I don't want Romeo.
I feel like it's this,
Romeo.
I feel like it's
and
the same thing
you're
with
right.
Devin.
It could have been like the you're hurt. You're sitting today. Like
I mean, we lost Devin and Roby for like a week out of nowhere. They played the whole game. Nothing ever came out about it, and then it was just they're missing the next 3 or 4 games.
It was Primo too, right? I mean, before
yeah,
because he took the fall and then he played the rest of the game, and then he was hurt and didn't play.
Yeah. And so I feel like they're just doing that with everybody. Now, if it does come out like, Romeo Langford keeps breaking something or something keeps happening, then
that's why I was like, I'm ready to move on with that guy.
But as far as to Jake's point, like you let Malachi and Blake Isaiah Roby, Langford all start to gel and find their footing this year to where they're comfortable enough you can trust them to just play the whole game. And then you probably start to move on from Josh. But until then, like we've been missing bodies since that first week. We won like 3 games in a row, and Pop said and the management said, all right, whatever, everybody's hurt. And we haven't really had like our full lineup since then. We've been missing guys like and I know everybody's gonna have injuries throughout the year, but like you let those young players start to kind of find their footing and get comfortable within the season.
I think I just don't want to tank.
See who you're gonna keep.
I don't want to tank our guys' value
or whoever.
I don't want to tank the value of the guys that we have.
So like you said, you brought up. I know, like you said, we're trying to wrap up. You brought up the Phoenix Suns, that Cam Johnson injury. Injuries happen. Unfortunately, you don't ever wish that on anybody. There's going to be another situation that opens up for a team later on, and they're going to go, dang, we just lost our only shooter. All right, let's go get Doug. And it's going to make it even more of a premium for us. Like, they're going to need
the team like the Lakers as well. Like, they're finally starting to win. They found a little recipe with Russ off the bench. And then, like, if it gets tight and they're going to need shooters too, you know?
And that's why you wait till the deadline, because, oh my God, like a guy gets desperate.
They sell. They'll overpay the same way you would pay in free agency. They'll overpay at the deadline.
So I think we just stay patient and wait for that. And we're going to see a lot more of this type of stuff, I think, throughout the year of, oh my gosh, we have nobody on the court right now. We're playing Jordan Hall 10 minutes a game because we don't have a point guard.
I will say I am a little disappointed at the fact that we decided to give, not the fact that we put him on our roster, but the fact that we didn't want to keep that roster spot to try a different point guard. There isn't anybody on the free agent market that the Spurs didn't look at and be like, you know what, we could use him to just be on the team right now and leave some minutes. Jordan Hall's not getting PT. He's not getting PT other than in garbage time. There could have been a point guard that might not have played for the first week that he was here.
That's the point. But he's not going to get no. I mean, we're trying to lose.
Yeah, I think that's
the point.
That's it.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, you're right. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you
sign that forward. Say, go sit down. We're losing.
I guess so, man. I guess so. And that is the point to that.
We're in an ugly season. You talking like we're trying to win ships here? You got to get off that boat because it ain't happening.
Yeah, no, you're right. Papa said at the beginning of the season.
The Clippers game was the Clippers game was the best case scenario of okay, let's see how these guys fight in a situation like this. And yeah, we came up short. All right, we lost, but it didn't really hurt that much because it's Keldon and some of those other guys got minutes, and Keldon was forced to go, all right, I got to be better. And hopefully he'll be better, going into the future. But at the same time, we're not putting ourselves in that. I know we're 5-5 right now. We're literally mediocre. We're literally average right now, but we don't want to be stuck in that position for the next couple of years. And so just kind of keep growing naturally, though. Don't lose games on purpose. Hopefully the injury stuff is not bad karma for the basketball gods. And so, but that's it. I guess my last thing before we get off is Spurs fans, be on the lookout for that Charles, what's his name?
Bassey.
That guy dropped Austin, right?
Yeah, he dropped 33 and 15 in Austin. Mm-hmm. So maybe we'll get a look at him. I know he got some minutes in that Toronto game. So maybe we'll get a look at him sometime in the future, get a little bit more front court potential youth.
For sure. Well, I mean, as we're wrapping up, we didn't really recap too much on the week. Was there anything from the week that really got y'all that you liked, something that you didn't like?
Yeah, I liked the L's.
I liked Devin Vassell coming back and knocking down some perimeter shots. He's got to show it's not just a 1 week hot streak. So the more and more he can continue to knock down those shots. And then kind of I don't want to say I like the losses, but it did kind of bring us back down to earth. And I
think as Spurs fans, we need to realize that there's a game within the game. They're trying, no matter what any of us, I want to win. I don't want to lose. the organization knows what they're doing.
Yeah, if the Lakers, I know they're a losing team right now. If the Lakers were down to the Clipper, or is it the Clippers, right, where Devin Vassell sat out the whole fourth quarter?
Mm-hmm.
If the Lakers had like Anthony Davis on a minutes restriction or LeBron, they would put him back in there because they need these wins. They need to win those games. But we were just like, yeah, all right. Devin played his minutes.
He did play 4 minutes.
Yeah,
He played 4 minutes.
He played
and
almost 5, right? 4, 40, whatever.
as soon as he hit a couple of shots, Pop was like,
Get out of here, man. Go sit down.
So it's good. There's growth. Keldon and Devin need to keep like getting in these tight situations. I don't want us losing by 40. I want our guys to learn from these losses, not okay, we're down 30 with 5 minutes to go. I don't want that, but I want us to compete. I want us to have fun and compete in these games.
Yeah, it was good to see Devin play a good second half because whenever my buddy Jose or Michael texts me and it's like, hey, Devin has 17 points at the half. Like, what do you think? And I was like, I think he's going to end with 22 points. That's what I text him.
Yeah.
Like, so it was good to see it. And then he texted me like, he had a 3, I think, and he had 23. He's like, hey, he's over 22. And I'm like, well, yeah, finally. Like, good.
Yeah. And on the flip side,
it was good to see him put a whole game together rather than a half.
Yeah. On the other side, there was one of the games I literally looked at the box score at half and I said, oh, Keldon's got 12 points and 7 rebounds. I was like, that's a great stat line for the half. And then he finished the game with 14 points and 8 rebounds. And I was like, we need Devin and Keldon to do it consistently throughout the game. Like the defense is going to come at you. They're going to try to take you out of games. Got to find a way to get around that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the great players do.
Exactly. No, 100%. You guys brought everything up really. I think I'm happy that it looks like Malachi Branham's confidence doesn't deter. He's really just trying to find himself in the offense. Not afraid to shoot, not afraid to get those looks. You can definitely tell the body language is there whenever a mistake happens, right? But he puts his head down for half a second, picks his head up, and then is all right, what can I do differently? What can I do to be better, kind of thing. So it's nice to see him getting run. It really is a shame that Blake Wesley got hurt because it's just a situation, if we were able to have all 3 of Malachi Branham, Blake Wesley, and Jeremy Sohan playing, it would be wonderful. Honestly, it's just something that we have not got to see in a long time. You're seeing teams play their second round draft picks kind of out of necessity, but not, just to get them run. And a guy like Ayo DeSumo comes out and shows up. A guy like Bones Highland comes out and shows up in their first and second years in the league. And we have these first round draft picks that we like to just, put them in the G League and let them develop, which isn't a bad thing. But, there's always a chance. There's always something that these guys can do to prove it and then become what they are right now. Like we're seeing Ayo DeSumo do, like we're seeing Bones Highland do to us the other day, I guess even a guy like Gary Trent, right, from the Raptors, who was a trailblazer whenever he first came into the league, So there's a lot of those guys that are kind of sleeper draft picks that I feel like we get a lot, but we don't like to show off that talent right away. So it's great to just see these guys get their run out there right now. But yeah, we had, again, not a strong winning week of basketball, but there's still a lot that you can gain from just seeing what's going on out there, and there's certainly a lot that we can look forward to, Let's see. Let me get the games real quick for this next week. If I'm not mistaken, I was looking at it, wasn't too excited in terms of just wins, losses type things. We're playing against Denver, playing against Memphis, playing against Milwaukee. And it looks like they're all home, which will be nice. A 3-game home stand against them.
It's going to be a long week.
But it's going to be a long week.
I feel like Giannis might have 50.
If not if Jeremy Sohan's there, Jeremy Sohan.
Probably if Jeremy Sohan's there, I feel like Giannis is going to have 50.
I'm excited.
Those are the type of games where if Giannis drops 40, but Jeremy got like a stop or two, you'd be like, oh wow, good job, Jeremy.
Heck yeah, Jeremy. He's gonna get one block, and you're gonna count as success.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I'm excited to see Jeremy Sohan hold Giannis to 49 rather than the 50 that you're saying. Jeremy's gonna block a John Morant dunk attempt, and then Jeremy's gonna intercept a ball. He's gonna intercept a steal from Jokic. That's what those are my. That's what I'm gonna say because I'm betting on Jeremy this year.
I'd like to see us compete and try to punch Denver right back in the mouth this next. Just to have a little bit of pride. Don't let them roll over you again.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot. I'm having a lot of fun seeing these baseball type of series.
Yeah.
Where we're playing them one night and playing them the next night. It's really fun to see that. Later this month, we're gonna get 3 games against the Lakers, and I'm super excited to see how we're gonna do against them in that manner. So, Chris comes out just saying, injury season is starting. Our vets' value continues to rise. Let's be smart and get a good haul. Other than that, let's keep these lessons coming. Go Spurs, go! Shout out Chris. I'm glad he was able to be here in spirit and through the comments. But yeah, with that, I think we're finishing up. We're wrapping up the episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. You can always catch us live at 10 a.m. every Sundays on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. All of which we will go live at that point. And if you cannot catch us, the VODs will be there shortly after. Be on the lookout for the clips. Like I said, they will be coming back. They will be on our YouTube channels. And other than that, I think we've had a wonderful podcast episode. Wouldn't y'all say so?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. But all right then, guys. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Go Cowboys! Texas Tech needs to win 2 more games so I can get a ball game in. I need my Red Raiders to step it up.
Hey, TCU. I told Josh that TCU was gonna blow that game out in the second half, and it's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it was not fair, man.
No, really,
they injured my quarterback.
10-point win, right? It was a 10-point win.
Yeah, but Texas Tech scored
It was
like
closer.
a minute.
It was closer than you said. 10 points not a blow. I wouldn't consider. And then as soon as you did, as Juan said, TCU's finna blow this out, and then that dude like mossed that full end zone, and and Tech went up, and I was like, oh dang.
Yeah. It's all right, Jake. It's okay. You guys got cheated. I saw a couple of the highlights. No pass interference on one call, face mask on the other. It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah,
that's karma from that Texas game.
Yep.
Y'all been getting favorable calls all year. So
no.
It's all good. It all catches up. Just know that it catches up. Just know that. It's okay.
I do Longhorns in this hand, and I go Frogs in the other.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, that's pretty lame.
I'm a Red Raider. That's my.
Yeah, take your ass that way, fool.
Well, all right then, y'all. I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend. Once again, go Spurs, go Cowboys.
Well, actually,
no Cowboys today, but no Cowboys today. But they said Odell is going to be cleared by the end of the week, and the Cowboys are super interested in him.
Yeah.
So I'll take Odell.
Yeah, I would take Odell too. These guys have been hearing me talk about the fact that we traded our best receiver for scraps and look at how that's been working out for us. So
we're 6-2.
Yeah, we just lost 2 games.
We could have been undefeated.
I saw a tweet and it said like the Cowboys traded Amari Cooper. Just to think, if they didn't trade Amari Cooper, we could be 6-2 right now.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
No, we would be undefeated right now if Amari Cooper was on our team because that guy's that guy. Like if you watch him, he's literally getting like amazing like stat lines with the Browns under Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback.
Yeah, but you have to understand that Jacoby Brissett is better than Cooper Rush, and if we would have had Amari Cooper for the Cooper Rush games, it would have been different. It would have been the same thing.
I don't believe that.
Anyways,
you don't think Jacoby Brissett is better than Cooper Rush?
Ending the episode with PSA: go out and vote.
Man,
vote.
There you go.
Let your voice be heard, and democracy.
Democracy, exactly. Just once again, we enforce exactly what the Spurs would say, and that is go vote. We want everybody to be out there getting everything. Put your votes out there. But with that being said, Y'all have a wonderful weekend.
Go Longhorns this
We
weekend.
are out. Peace.
Peace.